Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to Football Inc. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's 3:42, 4:42 even. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love. If it was 3:42, you'd be somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. I hope you guys are doing wonderful things and are capable of smashing the granny out of the like button for your favourite new transfer roundup show. We've got an hour of all of the takes, and here, of course, with co-host and channel owner Jonny H3232. How are you, Jonny? Good to see you, buddy. What's going on?
Yeah, all good, all good. It's hot and steamy today. If you're in England, it's a rarity. Make the most of it. You know, when it gets to 27, 28 in London, it feels like about 70. You know, it probably feels like a sort of 45, 50 in Dubai for some reason. I'm not sure why, but we're just not set up for it. But it's hot and steamy. Unfortunately, at the moment, the transfer market is hot and steamy with rumours. Just waiting to dot the I's, cross the T's, and get some of those deals underway. But there's some interesting conversations going on, and I think any moment now with clubs due back not long now to the start of the pre-season training. People we wanting to do the deals to get those players in. So I expect to see lots of stuff happening. Afternoon to everyone in the chat, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. So what we got first, Sean? I mean, should we start with Sonny or
yeah, we can. Just before we do, guys, just so you know, I did pin in the chat there. If you are interested in audio versions, or actually what we're doing on Spotify, we're uploading the video version. But if you are interested in watching or listening to this stuff via your podcast apps, then Spotify has been launched. So the link is there. As soon as I get around to doing the Apple one as well and all the others, then I'll be adding them to the to some sort of like cast link that you can find. But if you're interested in that stuff, or if podcast is your way forward rather than YouTube, there's the Spotify link, guys. But please smash the granny out of the like, hit the subscribe, and we're on the march towards 3K now. Jonny, yeah, let's start with Sonny, mate. There's a story literally just broken. Well, TalkSport have just released an article in the last 25 minutes that have said that Sonny is in fact set for showdown talks with Tottenham Hotspur, mate. And the story basically agrees or assumes that any deal with Tottenham Hotspur, with the player leaving Tottenham Hotspur after 10 years at the club, wouldn't take place until after at least the first game in Asia, in the Asia tour, because there is a contractual stipulation for his appearance there. Shock.
Can't believe it. Can't believe that.
I can't believe it either. But after that, it looks like Saudi are willing to drop about 40 million euros on the player. What's your thoughts, mate, on this overall topic?
So, listen, I heard that Saudis are willing to drop the money. I'm sorry, I'm just looking, Sean, at the. I was just looking for the fixture list, actually, for the date for the Arsenal game. I think it's the right time for all parties. I think it might have been nice if we had sort of a mini or a small friendly game at White Hart Lane, but probably due to the fact that we've got lots of lucrative away games, that might not be possible. So I'd like to see him given a proper farewell, because if he leaves now, he hasn't had a proper farewell. It's a lovely way to go out winning a trophy, but I don't feel that it's a proper Sonny only goodbye. He's had the parade. It's all been amazing, but I think I think that's the way to go forward. At his age, I think he's still got a lot. I can't hear you, Sean.
Apologies. Yeah, just quickly, in terms of the pre-season tour, so Spurs are in Hong Kong on the Thursday, the 30th of July. The open training sessions on the 29th of July. In terms of the fixtures, though, I also don't have it. It's not doesn't actually. Oh, here we go.
I did have them. 13th.
Either way, it looks like they are. Would you be okay with that being the way to say goodbye? Then, not because part of me for the romanticism of the last time he kicked the ball for Tottenham was as the captain lifting Europa League. Part of me means that story is more than okay. But I think it's also nice to do it in front of his Korean compatriots and that as well. For the preseason, I would just make the argument here: is there any particular notion, and again, this isn't a Tottenham show, guys. If you are watching this, this is just a part of the roundup today. But is there any particular notion that as a Tottenham fan that if hanging on to him for the next, I mean, we have to hang on to him anyway for the contractual stipulation, but can Tottenham move on and do business, assuming that he would go at some point later in the summer, as in like just put one foot in front of the other here and just make deals happen, assuming that you're going to get 40 million euros, and if so, is 40 million the right number?
For me, I think it's easy to do a deal. You do the deal before the tour. He's going to play football. You can put that in the contract. This is a farewell tour. It's probably like a goodbye tour for him, playing out there. Lovely way to say goodbye, as you say. And I think 40 million is a fantastic fee for him. And that 40 million coupled with the 17 million that we're getting for Pierre Højbjerg would give us 57 million. And that will more or less give us the money that we need for a big striker. The money that was spent for Tell isn't really money spent because it's money that Bayern Munich owe us. So I think all round, it's a great way for him to go. Some might say that he deserves a free transfer because of his service, but there's nothing free in this world. We saw with Ben Davies. Ben Davies signed a 1-year extension, and the people who aren't cynical will say they want him to stay for 1 more year. The less cynical, the cynical people like myself will say that it is he signed the deal so he can sell them to Wrexham for a nominal fee, even if it's 2 or 3 million. So personally, I think it's the right time. It probably was the right time over a year ago, but ending like that, I stand corrected. But I think now's the time. I don't know what guys think, but we need the money. And second of all, we need the spaces, Sean. We spoke earlier about how many wingers Spurs have and how we're going to create space for them all.
Yeah.
Losing Sonny will be a good way to start.
Yeah, it has to happen. To be honest, like if we start the season with Sonny in and Matisse Tell, then I think it's a real problem because Tottenham essentially haven't improved the entire left side of our midfield, of our attack, which was the dominant force of our attack last season, but also one of the most frustrating part about it. So, if we don't improve, then it's problematic for many reasons. Mate, I want to just quickly move to a story that's sort of a little bit breaking right now with regarding, I mean, these articles coming out of like some proper raggy red tops, the Star and the Mirror, but there's 2 stories here regarding Arsenal. So the title of the show is obviously London clubs making moves. Here's one article. Arsenal receive a transfer boost in the pursuit of Benjamin Sesko, the on-again, off-again deal. And the story is essentially saying that Leipzig have opened talks with Sesko's, essentially their presumed replacement. Transfer expert Sasha Tavolieri said on X that management of Göztepe, who is the Bundesliga side who have opened talks with Göztepe forward Romelu. So management considers Göztepe striker Romelu as the first target if Benjamin Sesko leaves the club. Talks are already underway with the player side, and the Brazilian striker is already keen on the move. So you have that story that's coming out of X from Sasha Tavolieri, and at the same time, Victor Gyökeres is hit with a new transfer rejection after strike claim amid Arsenal decision. And this one is talking about, I mean, I think first and foremost, it was saying last week, the sporting chief, Federico Varandas, came out saying
we'll shake on it. Yeah, we'll shake on it.
First of all, he said Victor Gyökeres won't leave here for 60 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons. He won't. And the game the agent is playing will only make the situation worse. As of now, we haven't had one offer for him, but the story today is that there is still a gentleman's agreement in place that maybe he's on again and off again. And here's the quote today. We said 2 things at the start of the season, that we would not demand 100 million and that the value would depend on the performance of Victor. How did he perform? 63 goals, 17 assists. Fantastic form. One of the best seasons in the history of the Portuguese football. Even then, Sporting will not demand his release clause, but people should know that threats, blackmail and insults will not work with me. I can guarantee one thing: Victor Gyökeres won't be leaving here for those monies.
Nor should it. Listen, look.
What are
We
we
know
doing here, mate? Is the deal happening or isn't it?
Sean, Arsenal are playing the game, right? And the clubs have every right to blow back. It's as simple as that. Arsenal are playing, you know what, we want Sesko, right? They're quite happy for the news to leak out that the director of football wants Gyökeres and Arteta wants Sesko. So what best to play one off against the other? Like I said, it's Mexican standoff. Who's going to move first? Who's going to make the first move? And as I said, they haven't even made an offer for Gyökeres yet. We've seen Man United going in. We've seen the talk of Arsenal going in. And we've the only team really linked with Sesko was Al Hilal, Saudi, and
Arsenal.
Arsenal. So I think there's a lot of legs there. There's also the story, Sean, just skipping out of London, just briefly. Why is no one bidding for Victor Osimhen? I mean, Victor Osimhen was probably the hottest striker in football when he was at Napoli. He had that fallout with the racism and all the rest of it, and he didn't feel like he was supported with the club. And they were demanding £100 million. No one had £100 million. So he ended up 100 million euros. So he ended up going to Turkey. Doesn't want to go to Turkey, wants to come to the Premier League. Again, Al Hilal linked with him. He turned down a £70 million move before the World Club Cup. He wants to play in the Premier League. 70 million euros seems reasonably good value when you look at proven quality as opposed to Sesko at 22, what could be. So why are we not getting more mentions?
Well, I think that, I mean, for what it's worth, there is a story out that Chelsea have handed Victor Osimhen a Premier League lifeline and have prepared a £42 million bid. That'll be an opening bid. But obviously with Napoli expecting to get 70 million from Saudi, and then obviously the player saying F you to Napoli, essentially, I'm not going there. We've always said this, mate, it takes three parties to make a transfer work: a buying club, a selling club, and the player.
Yeah.
And it looks like on multiple fronts here, there's either a problem with the player or the agents, the demands around wages, or a problem with the selling club not wanting to accept an offer below market value because they set their eyes on the prize that Saudi was going to provide them. And it's going to be interesting. What I would say is £42 million, if that is an opening bid or if it's somewhere within the wheelhouse, I would imagine he will go for something like 55 million. He doesn't have as much time on his side. He does have a lot of baggage. Whether that baggage is sort of hypothetical or born out of horrendous situations that he faced in Napoli with regard to the treatment of him, who knows whether that sort of...
He didn't have it in Turkey, though, did he? He had no such issues in Turkey.
Didn't read and didn't hear anything about that. Yeah,
nothing at all. Continued to score goals. I mean, obviously, Turkish league is a lower level than it is at in Italy. But
there's only two clubs that I can see Osimhen going to. I can't see him going to Tottenham. I can't see him going to Liverpool. I don't think Arsenal are going to. I mean, Arsenal, I think, have got their eyes on one of those two guys.
Weren't they? They were linked to him.
They were linked to him, yeah. But to me, Osimhen to me looks like he's a Chelsea player, and I think that Manchester United will have to suffer. I don't think that they can afford to do it all at the moment. With regards this, like we said 1,000 times, they're struggling to find buyers for the prices they want for their players. If they are going to get Mbeumo, then listen, Osimhen's not a bad place to land. Reach for the stars. Land on the Osimhen, it's not the end of the world, right? And so for me, I think I could see him playing for one of those two clubs, and I think he'll really suit the Premier League. But I don't really see him going to anywhere other than those two because those two clubs are willing to pay the wages.
Yeah, can Chelsea really cope with four strikers? I mean, they're going to need to offload. They got Nkunku, they got Nicholas Jackson, and we saw Delap with a nice little cameo last night against LA. With that assist, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that they can. I think they're going to have to. Offload one, and my best is Nkunku going out on loan again. I think I've never known a year where there's so many players linked, so many strikers linked to going out here. And listen, lots of people are mentioning Calamundo in the chat. That linking to Spurs.
Yeah, Stade Rennais striker, £25 million He cost Stabrenay £25 million. So it's another demonstration. I mean, I spoke about this on my channel this morning. I don't know enough about the player. He looks like he's handy and he's certainly versatile, but it also stinks a little bit, mate. If you want to be a Daniel Levy hater, it also does stink a little bit of Daniel Levy sniffing around the French market. We spoke about this for most part of last season, Johnny, that in the summer you'll see Daniel Levy fishing in the French pool because there's value to be derived there from the failing media rights deal, right?
But I mean, he was. Listen, look, I'll just read this. As at 22 years old, Armand Kalimundo is not the biggest name in League One, nor the flashiest, but the Rennes striker has been quietly building his game, maturing season by season. This season, he may finally be ready to announce himself as one of the league's most reliable forwards. A product of Paris Saint-Germain's academy, Kalimundo was part of the golden generation at the camp, but the PSG stacked forward line offering him limited opportunities. He opted for a pair of productive loan spells at RC Lens, scoring 12 goals in both 2021 and 2022 seasons. His permanent move to Rennes in the summer of 22 felt like a logical next step, a club known for giving young talent space to grow. Yet his adaptation wasn't immediately. Used both centrally and on the wing, Kalimundo often had to sacrifice parts of his natural game for the system. He ended the 22 season with just 7 league goals, then improved to 9 in 2023-24. And it just put Kalimundo's recent surge in form comes after a public challenge from Rennes head coach Habib Beye, following a subdued showing at Lens just before the international break. Beye hinted that his striker needed to show stronger competitive mentality. Now, for me, the response was a brace, and he went on, did well in England under 21. We know that Thomas Frank looks for mental monsters. So if he looks back and he asks the coach what his mental attitude is, and he sees signs of that, that might be something that puts him off. You have to be a mental monster. You have to be prepared to work.
Wait, but the story was that he was challenged on his mental aptitude and then he reacted. Okay.
And he reacted. So, cool. Yeah. So if he carries on and reacting and he reacts like that, I suppose going like any player coming from the top and coming down and having to go again is challenging. So like Jack Grealish, for example, wherever he goes, coming down from Manchester City, is he going to come and have the same sulking attitude? I was at Man City, now I'm here, I'm better than this. He's not going to perform. He has to get rid of that chip on the shoulder, and you've got to perform. So that's him anyway, out the way.
Yeah, look, I mean, I did about an hour or 40 minutes on the Y Scout tour looking at him. I wasn't wowed by him. I think he looks like a dangerous player. He looks tricky, technical, and I'll get on board it. I'll get on board any transfer. I'm always excited about new people to get behind and stuff. But for me, I'm just sitting there seeing what other teams are doing, mate. And again, not to make this about Tottenham, but just like the energy around the Premier League right now of the teams, the big five, the big six. It looks like they're all doing bits, right? Arsenal, they haven't really pulled the trigger yet on too much, but that they're going to eventually make a decision. They're waiting, but they'll get their guy in the end. They got Zubimendi. They're making some moves. Liverpool have already spent 250 million quid, give or take, right? They are rebuilding in a big way. Man City has spent 450 million, quietly put together some of the best young talent around the world. And they've got a never-ending conveyor belt of money coming on the other side. Man United are clearly looking for a major rebuild. So make that very quick V from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
And then you've got Chelsea that just seem to be able to print money and never seems to matter. And like it's always just a whole different set of rules for them. Newcastle are just limited, not by their ambition, but by their lack of willingness to dance around the rules at the moment. It's very curious to me why they don't seem to participate, because they're the team that could, but they don't yet. We'll find out what happens there. And so you're just looking around going, all right, well, if Tottenham want to get back in the Champions League on the regular, how are we going to do that? Well, you have to start to show some real meat and ambition and intention. And players like Kalimundo, to me, I just worry a little bit that whether he is a good player or otherwise, Johnny.
They're a 7, aren't they? Sean, they're a 7, right? They're not get up, stand up, and let's applaud, right? He's 5'9", he's quick. Yes, he's still young. Yes, he's a French under 21 international to join 3 others. But, we need, or clubs look, as fans, look for that, oh my God moment. And as Spurs fans, I don't think we've had that since Rafa van der Vaart.
It's been a while since we've had a worldie, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think other clubs probably. I mean, Man United are sort of regularly signing players. I think West Ham had a good signing season last season. With some of the players, Kudos and some of the others, it looked like they were spending money. Aston Villa, for me, seem to be very quiet at the moment. I mean, the fact losing out, they would not have banked on losing out.
Yeah. And that's a sledgehammer to their ambitions, Johnny.
And, yeah, exactly. And spending 96% of their earnings, of their income on wages, and then missing out is a massive blow. So, two players, Rashford and Muslim has gone back. Asensio have gone back now, so which lower their wage bill. But I think, the London clubs will make the move. But as I said, I think it's going to need that first big domino to fall, and then the others will be out the traps. If Arsenal went for Sesko, everyone's going to pile in. Who had money is going to pile in on Gyökeres.
I think that's the trigger. I think this whole striker market, and there's so many. We've got more to talk about, by the way, as we move forward now. I think once the first domino falls, it's going to create a chain of events that is going to be quite fast and quite almost like the energy around it's going to be, like I said 1,000 times, Mexican standoff at the moment. Once the first bullet pops off, it's going to be mayhem, and I can't wait to see what this transfer market.
Yeah. Can I just add to that? Leeds are looking for a striker, and they're looking at Muniz. What's his name? For Fulham. Muniz. From Fulham, and they're also looking at Everton's Beto. Yeah,
Beto. I mean, for me, Beto's he's a big lump of a guy. He's strong, he's powerful. Bit like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, though, just doesn't. He's a slightly better version. Just doesn't sort of put the ball away enough. If Leeds are looking at that level, I mean, the Leeds chairman came out and said, we're going to spend every penny we can. So the ambition from them is there. Obviously, the draw. Are you ever going to be able to get like a kind of second tier striker to come if you don't, on a 3 or 4 year deal, if you don't know whether you're going to be up again next year? Most teams that go up go down. I mean, it's probably about their level mate, Muniz. I mean, Tottenham were linked to Muniz a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, if that happens, I'm Levy out, I think. Similar to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But for Leeds, it might not be a mad shout, to be honest.
I think you mustn't dismiss the fact that, like a Bournemouth, Leeds, if you're enticing a South American or a lesser player, come to us, use us as a stepping stone, an absolute stepping stone, to establish yourself in the league. And should we go down, there's a very good chance you'll go up to a bigger Premier League club. Listen, look, let's not make any bones about it. Leeds were one of the giants at one point. They were a big club. There's no reason why they shouldn't, get back there. But, it's not hard staying in the Premier League, and it's not going to be easy for them. I think if any club that's coming up this season is there to stay, it could be Leeds. That's what I predict.
We spoke about Aston Villa a second ago, mate, and their quiet start to the season. There is a story out about Liverpool midfielder Harvey Elliott. He's expected to leave Anfield this summer. Aston Villa are believed to be leading for the race for his signature. £30 million for the player.
Good value.
Really good value. I think that's a really nice move. But I'm trying to think, though, where does he fit into Villa's team? And if so, who's going to be leaving? I think someone put a comment in a second ago that Ramsey from Villa would be a cracker for us. Look, Aston Villa are going to need to sell to make room. And so if they can sell one or two of their top-end players, and obviously Ramsey's a cracker, would that make... I mean, there's no links for him going to Tottenham, obviously, but is that one of the sales that you could see to make room for Elliott coming in?
I can see them selling Bailey. They need to raise funds. I can see them selling Bailey to Saudi just to get them out of trouble, and FFP and PSR. Yeah. Maybe even Martinez potentially leaving to a bigger club or to raise some money. I'm not sure about Ramsey. He's been linked, but that midfield of Villa, McGinn, Morgan Rogers,
cracking.
Yeah, fantastic. Add in Harvey Elliott. I think that's a lovely little midfield.
I'd take Harvey Elliott at Tottenham. I think he's a really good player. He's homegrown as well. There's no issues there.
I think he's a good player. The thing is, like so many of these players, they're not sexy enough. Clubs demand the foreigners to come in, But, you know, hands-on coaching, I think he would have had great coaching under Jurgen Klopp and great coaching under Arne Slot. So I think what you're getting is a guy who's had great coaching, great understanding of football, and has delivered on the highest level. And he would have no trouble fitting in at Villa, Spurs, or wherever he went in the Premier League.
Yeah. Mate, massive story that's developing out of Spain. A little bit less of the Premier League stuff here, but a player that Arsenal have been talking about getting Tottenham Hotspur have been rumoured to be interested over the last couple of years with this youngster, who I think is entirely overrated. I think he's massively volatile, massively inconsistent. That's, of course, Nico Williams from Athletic Bilbao. That Barcelona, who always seem to find money from somewhere, always seem to find a way to...
Maybe they're selling the second stadium that isn't built yet. I mean, like, they've already sold the stadium that's not built. They sold the seats for the... I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But according to Ben Jacobs, Bilbao are preparing to offer Williams a new contract. Could they not agree a transfer fee with Barcelona? But Barcelona will be looking... his contract at Barcelona would be 12 million a season, which is about 220 grand a week, 240 grand a week in euros.
I think it's less than what he's on now.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
That's the thing. You know, remember, Athletic Bilbao didn't pay anything for him. He's homegrown. So from what I was told, he's on over 300 grand, record amount ever played to any player from Bilbao. And when I was actually in Bilbao, I was speaking to some Spanish guys, and they were saying he's the highest paid player in Bilbao's history. And I think the thing is with him, Sean, I don't know what you think, but he's one of those players that frustrates me at times. He can be exceptional, stretching the plays, great, picking up the ball and driving into it. And then other games, he goes MIA. And you know, for me, a top footballer, world-class footballer, you know, for massive money, is more about moments, more about the odd moment in a game. And that's what I look for. I look for a player that is available for the 90 minutes, not in fleeting moments and turning on a bit of magic, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Everyone wants a player that can make something out of nothing. But for the money that he's on, I can't see Arsenal buying him, because there was rumours that Arsenal were interested in him and they were going to sell Martinelli and replace him with Nico Williams with the, you know, the offset of what they would get for Martinelli. I just fail to understand how Barcelona can afford the deal. I mean, I
always seem to be able to figure it out, mate. And you know what? Like, I get tired just trying to figure it out myself. But here's another story for us, mate. That's literally just broke as we're on the live air here, and that is a player that Tottenham Hotspur fans will be gutted to see. Jonathan David to Newcastle looks to be on as Napoli. The move to Napoli fades. I see someone in the comments just put that title in as well. Jonathan David is admired at Newcastle as they search for a new striker to add to Eddie Howe's squad this summer, while a rival suitor may have fallen away. Obviously, I won't get into too much of the details just for the arguments to save time here. But there's another story out, mate, that Alex Isak is not necessarily off the cards for a move to Liverpool this summer. If they can't get Hugo Ekitike... then Liverpool will turn their attention again to maybe splash the cash in a massive way. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought Liverpool were going to let everybody else battle it out and overpay for strikers this year, and they were going to be waiting patiently to get hold of Alex Isak next summer. But it looks like maybe if Jonathan David is going to Newcastle, is this part of the merry-go-round, part of the transfer domino effect, that he'll come in there and then Hugo, and then Alex Isak will or Isak will go to Liverpool? Is that a way for Newcastle United to move money around on a PSR FFP wiggle room? What's your thoughts?
Absolutely not. I think this is purely and simply a fantastic play. Listen, I've been going on about Jonathan David now for the last 18 months, and I know you weren't convinced initially, but over the last year, you've definitely come on board to
improve his game.
Yeah, I mean, left foot, right foot, scores goals everywhere. Champions League for Lille, plenty of goals. Europa League, goals. international goals. You know, he's not playing for a top sexy club. He is a goal scorer, and he's only getting better. Yes, he comes from Canada. Don't let that distract you. But for me, it makes perfect sense for Newcastle. Why? Because they only have to pay. The agent wants 10 million, rumored to be 10 million. He wants 15 million signing on fees, 25 million. What can you get for 25 million? Absolutely nothing. They can handle his wage. Perfect for FFP and PSR purposes. Every club, if I was Spurs, I'd be going for Jonathan David. If I was Newcastle, I'd be going with Jonathan David. If I was Aston Villa, I'd be going for Jonathan David. He offers everything: proven goals, pace, technique, left foot, right foot. You know, how many times do we see, you know, strikers so one-footed, you know, and as a defender, you force them onto their weaker foot. It makes the game so much easier for you as a defender. But when you have someone with all those attributes, I don't know. But Itzhak is going absolutely nowhere. I just nowhere. Not a chance.
Is Jonathan David going to want to go and play second fiddle at Newcastle?
I don't think he'll play second fiddle. This is a squad-based game nowadays, Sean, right? And, you know, I think, you know, if you're playing on the Wednesday against Real Madrid, okay, and all that may entail, come Saturday, early kickoff, you might feel a little bit leggy. And right, so if you've got Jonathan David starting after Itzhak started, you're swapping them over, and Jonathan David comes on as, you know, for the last 20 minutes, and then in the Premier League game they reverse that. And don't forget, there's things called injuries, right? So you need a solid squad, and you need a squad of depth. If Newcastle go into the Champions League with only Alexander Itzhak, I don't think that's enough. And sure, we saw what happened the last time they were in the Champions League. Did very well, but their league form suffered massively. All the clubs that are in the Champions League this season, all 6 of them, record numbers, 6, never happened before. All of those players, all of those teams are going to need fantastic depth. And probably the weakest depth of all the teams in the Champions League, without doubt, is Tottenham Hotspur at this moment.
Yeah, at this moment, it's a long summer ahead. There's another story out regarding Victor Gyökeres that Juventus have offered him £11 million a year in salary. That's 230 grand a year in pounds. That's like 270 in euros. That would probably be difficult to be matched by Arsenal, wouldn't it, mate? I mean, and Arsenal have probably got some wiggle room to be able to do it if they wanted to, but they're not usually people that go and. I mean, how much is the German player getting paid at the top end of the pitch? I think he's on 280. Is he? So it's Kai Havertz got about 280. I think.
Listen, they had Ozil on about 300 grand a week. They've had plenty of players on 300 grand a week. You know, if you want to get the best, you got to pay the best. You know, that's what the options are. Listen, when push comes to shove, if you're sitting there and Arsenal are offering you 200 grand a week, Juventus are offering you 200 grand a week, and Man United come in and are offering you 300 grand a week, where are you going? You know, and I think very much so, and rightly so, the wages is a big component in deciding where a player goes, if it's all level.
Yeah, look, it's going to be fascinating, mate. I can't wait to see the first move in this one. I know that Tottenham are probably not going to be involved in the top end of the striker market. Hopefully, we'll get a sniff and get something to get our hooks into with regards, though, maybe those second-tier players like a Jonathan David, like a João Pedro, Newcastle, Villa, those sorts of teams are linked. Dusan Vlahovic, right? I mean, I don't particularly want Vlahovic at Tottenham. I know some of the Tottenham fans in the various chats that we go on do. I know Adrian, for example, is a massive fan of Vlahovic. I just think he's a little bit of yesterday's guy, but he's certainly going to be leaving Juventus. And if it looks like Juventus are really trying to get Gyökeres, it will be fascinating to see if Italy have still got the pull on that sort of vibe over a team like Arsenal, because you know, I don't think that Juventus can win the Champions League, but maybe Arsenal can. Either way, we shall see, mate. Let's move away from.
Can I just add? Sorry, to what we're talking about Newcastle there. William Masula, right? The Danish striker, the young Danish striker. I forgot. Foxy mentioned it here. He's doing brilliant in the Euros, scoring for fun. He's a real talented player. Let me tell you something. Denmark's youth and Swedish youth.
Yeah, the Scandinavian teams are crazy.
Are really coming through. I have a friend who's in football, and you know, a lot of Danish players going out to Germany. And you know, obviously they've always produced a decent team, but they seem to be producing more and more. But he's really on fire at the moment in those under-21 championships. And
what's his name?
William Masula.
Masula, who's he play for?
Osula, Newcastle.
Oh, he's at Newcastle now. Okay,
he's at Newcastle now. He's a 21-year-old, absolutely banging the goals in. So you know, we were talking about, you know, sometimes you unearth a gem. You know, not someone who, you know, was doing it prior, but who just suddenly comes out of nowhere. There you go, 280 plus goal bonus.
That's wild, isn't it? That's so much money.
Jesus Christ. And look how much they paid for him, Nikos, as well, on top of that all. I mean, Arsenal are absolutely minted. And the question is, really is a question, you know, when Arteta has been bragging, we are spending big. He's been going on about it for months. Come the summer, Arsenal fans, we're really going for it. It really is a surprise that they haven't matched Liverpool and Manchester City in really going early. It's a bit of a surprise for me at the moment, I must say.
Yeah, but I can only put it, you're right, it's a head scratcher for me too. I can only put it down to the fact that either they have paralysis by analysis because they know that whoever they drop the big bag on, it's the one that it's going to basically dictate Arteta's future. If Arteta doesn't win the league this season coming, I think all Arsenal fans are going to run out of patience, because whatever phase they're in now, phase 19 or whatever, it's taking too long for them to get that sort of trophy monkey off their back a little bit. And I think that, you know, I don't know whether it's paralysis by analysis or they are literally just waiting to see when the first needle moves from someone else, because there's plenty of options out there. And sometimes, you know, less options equals more decisiveness. When you have too many options in life, sometimes you end up sitting on your thumbs. It will be interesting.
Guys, just drop it. Guys, just drop in. Sorry, Sean. Just drop in while you're in there. Let us know where you're from and what club you support, because obviously, you know, there might be a few more Spurs fans in than others, but as we progress up, we'll get fans in from all clubs. So please let us know where you're from and where you're from and what club you support.
We'd love to get to know you all, because it is a fledgling channel. Also, smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And like I say, guys, if you do enjoy podcast content rather than YouTube content for whatever reason, then the link for Spotify.
California, Dio.
What's that?
California, Dio.
Oh yeah, I hope everything's okay for you over there, mate. It seems like, I mean, there's trouble everywhere in the world right now, isn't there? It just seems wild times to be alive. I want to move the story back towards Chelsea for a second, and then also Everton. But let's the Jamie Gittens story. Chelsea are currently in the World Club Cup, but Jamie Gittens' story is progressing whilst they're over there. I don't know how this. I haven't really seen the details, but it looks like Chelsea have obviously earmarked him as being their new winger. We know that they gave up on the Jadon Sancho deal and paid $5 million to get out. What an insult, a slap in the face that is. But in terms of Jamie Gittens, what's your thoughts on him, mate? Is he just another version of a Jadon Sancho, or do you think he's a really top player?
I think he's a really, really good player. And from what I was told a while back, that Manchester United were interested in Gittens, and they were looking at doing a swap deal to send him back send him and swap him over with Jadon Sancho for winger. But I just think, you know, in all honesty, I think it's a really good buy for Chelsea. I just don't know where they're putting them all. Sean, where are they putting all these players?
I don't know, mate. They must have maybe some of them are going into the women's team or something that they've got a vested interest in. I don't know what's going on, mate, but they have got so many people in that squad. And you know what, though? Look, they seem to find a way to make it work, mate. I'm not that tight on or close to their accounts. I wish there was a Chelsea fan that is as interested in their finances as like we are in Tottenham, so that we could find out exactly, you know, what their accounts look like in detail, because it's a myth, mate. Well, not a myth. It's a mystery, rather. That's what I'm looking for. How they can get around it. I know we know about all of their shenanigans, but the fact of the matter is, mate, that the Premier League got together a couple of weeks ago at the end of the season, and none of the teams had any appetite at all for closing those loopholes, which to me basically says that FFP and PSR is likely kind of on its life support machine in terms of getting anywhere closer towards resolving these issues. But Jamie Gittens, mate, is fantastic player.
I was just going to say, right. So yesterday, I don't know if you were here listening to the show yesterday about clubs getting raped and pillaged, and basically we spoke about Bournemouth, we spoke about Bayer Leverkusen, and one of them that was really up against it is Rennes, who seem to be selling everyone. They two to
Rennes or Stade Rennais? Rennais, wasn't it? Stade Rennais?
Yeah, Stade Rennais, yeah. So 2 went off to Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah.
One's coming to Bournemouth.
A couple the year before went to Saudi as well.
Right, and then we got the latest link with the striker. And Chelsea also are getting Fofana off rent today. So, yeah. I mean, like, how are these? They love a Fofana, you're right. For
Fofana's sake.
How many Fofanas can you have?
There's enough, mate. There's enough out there. Popular name. Mate, let me ask this one. This is a really interesting story. Kyle Walker going to Everton.
Well,
not a bad move. I think it's a really clever move for both the parties, isn't it? I think it's cracking.
Listen, I was very fortunate when I used to go and watch football games. I was watching a player. I was watching the under-18s, Watford, and I saw this player there and talking to this fella, and he said, "Oh, my son's playing." He said, "Is there anyone you like?" I said, "Now you've got me up against it." I said, "There's only one player I like." I said, "Is that kid there?" He goes, "That's my son," and it turned out. Ashley Young, right? I said he was head and shoulders above everyone else. I look at him now and how long ago that was. He's 38 years of age now, right? He was still doing it in the Premier League. Yes, his legs were gone, but he's such a fantastic professional playing for Everton. And I think this is a perfect fit, Kyle Walker. He's not 38 years of age. Yes, he might not be as fast as he was, but he's still bloody quick. And he's physically strong. He's like a monster. Let me tell you, his dad, who I used to sit next to at football when he was at Spurs, he's an absolute beast. He's built like a brick shithouse. And I think he's a great move for him. Physical beast, still got the pace, and he's got the experience. Perfect for Everton. I don't know if there's a fee. Is there a fee attached?
No, I think he's on free transfer. I think, yeah.
I think it's a loan, isn't it? Because he's still on a contract with. It might be. I'm not quite sure what the deal is with that.
Haven't seen much. Just another story that's breaking here, mate. That Fenerbahce have inquired on the availability of Frank Anguissa, who was on a free transfer. He was on the free transfer list about a month ago. We were talking about him on the Spurs Talk Show episode. Absolute baller out of Napoli. Like, love him. Like, absolutely love him. He's big, physical, strong central midfielder. And they, I think they had an option to extend. They've extended. And now Fenerbahce are coming in saying, you know, like they do like the protection extend or whatever. And now Fenerbahce are looking at him, which might put to bed, if that happens, any chance of old Yves Bissouma going in that direction. But I tell you what, Anguissa's a massive improvement on what we have in the midfield. If he's available for 30 million quid, or 30 million euros, sorry, 25 million quid, I wouldn't mind Tottenham sneaking in there and having a conversation and then forcing the issue where, you know what, Fenerbahce, you take Yves, we'll take Frank, and everyone's a happy boy. What do you think about Frank Anguissa, mate? He's class. Yeah.
Welcome, Sam, from United. All fans welcome from all clubs, mate. Looking forward to having you on board. Hit that like button, guys, and the subscribe button while you're here. Sorry to ask, but it helps with our algorithm and helps us grow. What other ones you got there, Shawnee?
Antonio. So have you seen this story about Michael Antonio? Go on, I'll let you run with that one, mate. No,
I just, look, there's rumours that West Ham, I know we've had a few West Ham fans in the chat in the last few days.
Mick, if you're there, let us know.
Mick, if you're there, give us a shout. I don't think he was in favour of Antonio getting a new contract. I think he'd had a couple of crashes, Antonio. But look, the thing is, he played for Jamaica yesterday. proving or trying to prove that he's back fit. And the question is, will he get a contract with West Ham? And if he doesn't get a contract with West Ham, he becomes free. Now, with his experience and his balled over mentality, will someone like, for example, Leeds take a gamble on him, or one of the clubs coming up and offer him potentially a 2-year contract? Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I don't disagree with you, Alpash, but I'm just thinking that he someone will offer him a contract if West Ham don't. Because
it's hard to cut him after a brutal injury, but at the same time, timing is everything in life, isn't it? You know,
business is business, mate. And you know, listen, the risk when you don't sign a new contract, when you hold out for something and then you end up with a terrible injury, it's not the first time, nor will it be the last time.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you seen this? Have you seen this story as well with Anthony, Manchester United's Anthony? I don't think this could even be possible, but ABC Sports in America are saying, I think it's ABC Sports in America, they're saying that Real Betis want to extend on that relationship, but they want to co-own the player in some sort of like 50% sell-on value, staying with Manchester United. I mean, I don't know if the co-ownership thing, it's not even legal in the Premier League. But in a nutshell, I think that's just a bad way of wording the fact that what they want to essentially do is pay half the value for the player to bring him out of Manchester United on a permanent, but then offer Manchester United 50% of any future sell-on fee, because the actual co-ownership thing isn't possible. But the guy's 25 years old. You know, is this a way for Manchester United to get out of jail with one of these things by only accepting, say, 25, 30 million quid for the player, and then going, you know what? We'll write down the rest. We've already amortized 3/4 of the transfer anyway. So there's actually a bit of profit from an FFP perspective, even though they've lost 40 million quid on the guy. But in so doing, they get that wage bill off and they can make room on their books for someone else. What do you think about that story, mate?
I think Man United have got some serious bookkeeping work to do. I mean, you know, it's all very well Ratcliffe cutting the tea lady, 400 staff, bonuses, Christmas parties, Alex Ferguson, all the rest of it. But they really need to start cutting some of the huge commitments they've got with players like Anthony, like Rashford, Casemiro, Jadon Sancho. There's so many of them. Højlund, Xerxes. You know, so many players on massive money that they can't get rid of. And no club is going to pay massive wages and commit to a number that only a club like Manchester United could pay. So United's only chance is either to loan them out and subsidise the wages, or cut their losses completely. And I don't know how you do that, or you pay them up. I'm not quite sure. But United, I think, have the biggest problem of all the clubs because of the terrible, terrible transfer business that they've done. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he was a terrible transfer, but Maguire still ranks as one of the biggest all-time transfers. Was it 80 million? Was it 85 million?
85 million, I think, yeah. Massive money.
£85 million. But, I mean, that's all right. It's been amortised over the years and years that he's been there. But they've got players there now that, I mean, who's buying Casemiro? He's not going anywhere. He's got 1 year left on his contract. He's going to scoot out for nothing, and he's on 300 grand a week.
And he'll probably get paid 200 grand a week for his last contract. You know, I wouldn't touch that guy with a barge pole, but
correct.
You know, it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. Listen, one of the stories that's popping out in the last sort of 10 minutes is Semenyo. Spurs Weather reporting that Tottenham are very, very confident that they are going to get their guy. And obviously on the back of that, I think they maybe conceded a little bit of defeat there, like Newcastle did yesterday for
Mbeumo.
So, yeah, I mean, look, Semenyo for me, 25 years old. Sorry, my phone's pinging off, going mental. I feel like I'm Fabrizio Romano.
No, it's because the Daniel Levy and Uncle Vinny.
I haven't seen it. We'll watch it later. But
dropped, and so the fan base is going into meltdown. They'll pick through that and pick out the bits that suit. But my
I've seen a couple of comments here. Apparently, people are saying there's one here. We are very proud of the stadium, but we need to make sure we win on the pitch. There is no point in having a wonderful stadium if you haven't got a wonderful team and winning. I mean,
Vinny is the influence. I'm telling you.
Well, talk is cheap, mate. Talk is cheap. You say that the same day that we're going to go out and break the French transfer record for a 25-year-old from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Let's see. Listen, guys, if it was a choice for me between Semenyo and Eze, I know which one I'm taking.
Yeah,
it ain't Semenyo.
Look, I think that Semenyo is he strikes the ball purer than I think most players. I think he's underrated. And I just worry about the price point. Like at some point, you have to kind of shake hands with the reality that people are going to get overpriced. One argument that you could make about the Semenyo deal, right? We were speaking about this yesterday, Johnny. The fact that you've got Huijsen that's already gone, the fact that Kerkez is 99% done, but it isn't done yet. The fact that you've got
Zabani
that's on the list, but he's not that advanced yet, and also the fact that Justin Kluivert, then. If you are the last of those 5 players to move, if all the other 4 go before you, Bournemouth are going to dial up the asking price for each one accordingly because there's less and less need for them to sell. And so if Tottenham want Semenyo, it would probably be more beneficial for them to come in and agree a price now before Zabani, before Justin Kluivert, or before Kerkez are done. And then that, again, little byproduct benefit is that those clubs would have to pay more than they currently might think they would do to get the players that they want. So I'm just wondering whether, because like I say, if you wait until everyone else has moved, then Bournemouth are going to go, I don't need to sell Semenyo. We've already sold 3 of our back 4. We've already sold, our striker in Kluivert. So, if you want Semenyo, it's going to cost you 90 million quid. But I think if Tottenham want to move, they need to make a move for him quickly. But then, maybe they still hold hopes on Brian and Mbeumo. This is the thing. This is the theme right now. It's a little bit paralysis by analysis, Johnny.
But they're also trying to sell Max Aarons as well. Max Aarons to Glasgow Rangers. I mean, how many more players? I mean, but I'm just trying to work it out now. It's a fight out between Bournemouth, Rennes, and Bayer Leverkusen. Who's selling the most? Listen, Sam, who knows? Who knows? When the music stops, where will Brian be putting his hat? That's the thing. No one knows right now. No one knows. Let's be honest, right? I think if you'd have sold Bruno Fernandes already, you would have done this deal and probably a couple of others. But at the moment, you didn't do Sancho. That's 25 million. And you didn't do Fernandes. That's 100 million. 125 million goes a long way into buying your Brian and Mbeumo's and the other players that you're really interested in at the moment. So it's obviously slowed matters down, but we shall see. We shall see.
Do you see as a Tottenham fan, are you confident that one of Eze and Mbeumo or Semenyo will be at Tottenham, or do you think we're going to go something a little bit more left field?
We'll get one of the 3.
You think we'll get one of the 3? Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
No,
I don't really mind which one of it is. They're all really talented players, and they instantly improve us for sure.
I think one of the 3 is very good. Listen, I think most clubs want a stand-up signing. Sam, you're used to it. You're a United fan, so you're used to marquee signings. But other clubs, Chelsea, marquee signings, Liverpool, Manchester City, marquee signings. But that next level of clubs to show ambition, who's going to come in? Who's going to come in and shock the world, right? And Spurs have not been, no disrespect to Dom Solanke, but for 65 million, I personally last summer, if you asked anyone, I wanted Victor Gyökeres. If you'd have signed me Victor Gyökeres last season for 65 million, which you could have done, I would have been up and down, jumping up and down in my house because I for me, it's a standout winning signing. And I think every transfer window, every club, no matter what their stature, is looking for that marquee signing. Some never get it, Spurs being one of them. It's been a long...
mate, just quickly. On a marquee signing, Arsenal and Aston Villa have both reached out in the last 24 hours to Aymeric Laporte. ex-City centre-back, went to Saudi, chased the money. He has now basically bought himself. I think the story is that he wants to terminate his contract and buying himself out. The Saudi club that he plays for isn't happy, and that Arsenal and Villa are looking at him. In a world where Tottenham Hotspur were to sell Romero for 70 million, 60 million, could you see Laporte coming to Tottenham?
No, listen, he's a squad player at this stage of his career. He's a very good player, but he's a squad player. He's not your guaranteed starting set. When you've got injuries, when you're playing the Carabao Cup, when you're in between games and you need players to have a rest, he's the guy that steps in. Football now is a squad game, 100%. And he would fit into any squad. He would fit into any squad.
Yeah, but when you've got Tottenham, have got Danzo, and you're looking for players that are leaders, people that have got Champions League experience. Because let's be honest, mate, if you sell Ben Davis, if you sell Sonny, and Vicario goes as well, by the way, which is another story, which is actually grabbing some attention today, that the Mike Maignan transfer from AC Milan to Chelsea is hinging on the idea of them being able to replace him with Vicario. I can't believe Tottenham, we have to discuss more goalkeeper transfers. I thought we were done with that area of the pitch for a while. But like, if you're looking for someone that can come in, like we spoke about this yesterday, Diamandi, right? The guy from Sporting. I mean, he's young. He's got Champions League experience at Sporting and stuff. But like, I wouldn't hate Laporte coming in and then battling it out with like a Kevin Danzo. I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah, but listen, like we go into goalkeepers. I mean, if anyone needs a flipping goalkeeper right now, it's Man United. You know, that's where they should be spending their money right now, because that clown Onana, right? I mean, he's guaranteed to give away X amount of points a season with his clangers. You know, in the final, that was a bit of a clang, if you ask me. I think he could have done better with it. I don't know. I think he's the type of player, Laporte, that would go to any club, and any club would be willing to have him because of his experience at the highest level. And experience counts. As a defender, you can play at a higher rate. I'm surprised he's not going to Italy. I thought, you know, he could go to somewhere like Napoli or somewhere like that. Pick up someone cheap. AC Milan, somewhere like that, where he get a good wage.
I mean, he might go to Juventus to replace Gleison Bremer, who looks like he's out of the club again.
I like Gleison Bremer. I've always liked him. He's a CAA-based player, so you never know. Who else you got? Have you got anyone else in there, Shawnee?
Just a couple of throwaway comments here around. I mean, not throwaway comments, but sort of like somewhat interesting stories. But like Rob Edwards is leaving Luton as manager. You know, interesting. He might be going to Leeds. Rob Edwards, ex-Tottenham guy, right? Wasn't he at Tottenham before?
Don't remember him. Don't remember him. No, I don't remember him.
I thought he was part of the youth team.
I know Wilder.
I'm thinking of McKenna, aren't I? Sorry.
Yeah, you're thinking of McKenna. Yeah. Kieran McKenna, he's a top coach. Kieran McKenna has been linked with Brentford. You know, really good manager. But I think they're going to go for Andrews, who used to be presenter on Sky Sports and worked under Thomas Frank. And he's probably one of the instigators of some of the, you know, those tactical marvels, you know, overloading at the start of game, winning games, and some of the other little tactics that they had. Wilder looks like he's going to be replaced at Sheffield United, and I think rightly so. That collapse at the end of last season is I think it's almost worse than the Ajax collapse. If any of you know what happened with Ajax, I think they only needed, what was it, 6 points, was it, from the last?
Yeah, they collapsed the last couple of games of the season, didn't they?
A few games, yeah.
By the way, I completely screwed up when I corrected you earlier on because you were talking about the clear out team. So Arno Calamuendo plays for Rennes, the team that we spoke about the other day that were getting cleared out, that were going towards Leverkusen, was Stade Rennais, two different teams. I thought Calamuendo was playing for Stade Rennais, but plays for Rennes. So my apologies.
Ramsdale, I mean, listen, I still rate Ramsdale as a good keeper. I'm surprised that, you know, they came in with Raya, but, you know, Raya offers different options, and 25 million release clause. Got to be Zion Suzuki. Sounds like he's putting off the mark.
He's got a good engine.
Zion Suzuki. What a great name.
He's got a great engine, that guy.
Yeah.
100%.
Imagine that.
Mate, I think that's about time, about perfect time. 59 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's round it off there, guys. We've got to jump across to the Irish Hotspur for a Tottenham roundup. If you're interested in Spurs stuff after that, later on tonight, I'll be back on the Spurs Talk Show. But please, guys, smash the granny out of the like button if you've just joined. Please hit the subscribe as well. And if you are interested in the Spotify stuff, if you want the podcast format, the link is in the pin chat there. It is also in the description if you're watching this after the fact. Jonny, mate, massive thank you, mate. What's coming up for you on the spot? You're on the Irish Hotspur as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on the Irish Hotspur at 6 o'clock, and then we'll see what happens. I'm sure there's going to be lots going on. We'll be back again tomorrow, as we always are. And Foxy just said that Leverkusen signed a lot of talented youth. Mazza, Tarpe, Traore, and Mazza. That's Mazza twice. So they signed him twice.
They signed him twice.
Right? Mazza and Mazza. It's like the Williams brothers.
Nice.
Listen, guys, thanks for following us, and a little bit Spursy today, but I can assure you all the other days we are be covering all clubs. It just so happened that Sonny go. I just wanted to sign out with a couple of things. What fans have said. Love Son, biggest club legend of the 21st century, but it makes sense if he were to leave this summer. He hasn't been able to hit the heights we've been accustomed to for the last 2 or 3 seasons, even though his stats always look good. Wish him the best, whatever happens. Great T. I'd be sad to see Son leave, the most joyful player I ever remember at Spurs, not to mention a great player. But age finally catches up. A new manager, a fantastic trophy under his belt, and the chance to make a great last payday. Time to say thank you for everything, Sonny, and good luck. I think that's the sentiment for most of us, and I think a lot of the Premier League as well will look back and say, you know, he was a great servant to the Premier League.
100%, mate. Well said. Well said. All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll send you over to the Irish Hotspur, but then look out for the Spurs Talk Show coming later on. And we'll see you about this time, about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for some more transfer roundups. It's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from him.
Bye.